Greetings, explorers of shadows and seekers of hidden truth. You are now at the portal of the unknown, where the echoes of the past resonate in the mysteries of the present. Today, we will explore a little discussed yet profoundly intriguing connection, Jesus and the fallen angels, through the lens of the Gospel of Thomas and the Book of Enoch. Many are familiar with the canonical Gospels and the story of Christ, but few venture into the deeper layers of apocryphal texts where forgotten truths and enigmas await to be unraveled. The Gospel of Thomas, with its direct and enigmatic teachings, and the Book of Enoch, with its cosmic visions and revelations about the fallen angels, offer us a unique and often unsettling perspective on Jesus' role in the history of humanity and his connection to the beings who transgressed divine orders. To understand this connection, we must step away from the traditional view of Christ as separate from other spiritual dimensions and delve into the mystery of the cosmic forces that have, throughout history, intertwined with the fate of humankind. The Gospel of Thomas, one of the most revealing and mysterious texts of early Christianity, presents a Jesus who speaks of an inner kingdom, accessible to all who seek the truth, free from the constraints of religious tradition. In it, Christ is not just the Savior who guides us to salvation, but the teacher who shows us how to recognize the divine within ourselves. But what does this have to do with the fallen angels? The Book of Enoch, on the other hand, presents a fascinating view of the fall of the angels, celestial beings who, in their attempt to descend to earth and interact with humans, defied God's design. In doing so, they brought with them forbidden knowledge, the hidden wisdom, and a series of catastrophic consequences for humanity. The narrative of Enoch concerning the fallen angels and their forbidden teachings, including knowledge of occult arts and the secrets of the heavens, parallels Christ's message, which, in its own mission, challenges established structures and reveals hidden wisdom that transcends the boundaries of what is accepted. But how do these elements connect? Jesus, in many ways, represents a form of redemption that seems directly linked to those beings who defied the heavenly order. In his words in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus speaks of a kingdom that is not external, but internal. And it is precisely this message that stands in opposition to the forbidden knowledge the fallen angels brought to humanity. But what if, in the end, the key to understanding Jesus' role in this context lies not in a simple narrative of sin and redemption, but in a cosmic struggle for the reclamation of lost knowledge? The Gospel of Thomas and the Book of Enoch together invite us to reflect on the duality of human existence, the longing for the divine, and the dangers of knowledge that can corrupt us. By exploring these texts in a new light, we see that the relationship between Jesus and the fallen angels is not just a story of sin and salvation, but a complex narrative about the struggle for enlightenment and the understanding of eternal truth, which in some way was divided, hidden, and guarded by the heavens. In this video, we will delve deeper into this fascinating intersection between Jesus and the fallen angels, illuminated by the teachings of the Gospel of Thomas and the revelations of Enoch. Join us as we unravel this hidden mystery, revealing layers of ancient wisdom that, to this day, remain waiting to be discovered. The Gospel of Thomas is one of the most enigmatic texts attributed to Jesus. Unlike the canonical Gospels, which focus on miracles, parables, and the Passion of Christ, the Gospel of Thomas stands out for its emphasis on teachings that explore the depths of human consciousness and spiritual perception. What makes this gospel even more intriguing is the fact that it consists of a collection of direct and enigmatic sayings, often challenging how we understand reality and the nature of Christ. In its words, Jesus does not merely seek to convey a moral teaching, but to open doors to the understanding of the kingdom of heaven, not as a distant place, but as an internal and immediate presence, accessible to all who seek sincerely. Among these teachings, one of the most impactful is found in saying 70, which states, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." These words resonate deeply, inviting us to reflect on what it means to bring forth what is within you. What is this inner light? And more importantly, how can it be the key to our salvation or destruction? The idea that there is something within us that must be revealed something that, if not accessed, could lead us to ruin, suggests a profound and hidden knowledge, a truth that lies within us, waiting to be discovered. But what exactly is this light? Could it be the awareness of our true nature, the connection with the divine that resides within all of us, but is often obscured by life's challenges and the limitations of human perception? The Gospel of Thomas, by focusing on this inner revelation, invites us to look within ourselves, suggesting that salvation does not come from outside, but through a process of self-discovery and inner enlightenment. Now, the connection between this inner light and the hidden secrets in the Book of Enoch becomes even more fascinating. The Book of Enoch, with its narratives about the fallen angels and the forbidden knowledge these celestial beings brought to earth, speaks of wisdom that was passed down, but also of the corruption this knowledge brought. In Enoch, we see a story of spiritual transgression. The angels, known as the Watchers, descended from heaven and taught humans the secrets of the cosmos, including astrology, metallurgy, and the use of herbs and plants for healing and sorcery. While this knowledge was initially revealing and powerful, it also brought disastrous consequences, causing destruction and corruption. What seemed to be an illuminating light became a dangerous force that led to spiritual decay. In a sense, the light mentioned in the Gospel of Thomas could be seen as the antithesis of this forbidden knowledge, representing a pure and untainted revelation. The inner light that Jesus refers to is something that must be brought forth with wisdom, without the dangers of knowledge that corrupts and destroys. This knowledge is not merely intellectual, but a spiritual revelation that transcends human limitations and external influences. The inner light is that which illuminates our understanding of the divine and our connection to it, without the need for intermediaries or external revelations such as those described in the Book of Enoch. Therefore, the connection between the Gospel of Thomas and the Book of Enoch is not just a matter of contrasting light and darkness, but of reflecting on the kind of knowledge we seek. The Book of Enoch shows us the danger of seeking light through sources that are not divine, while the Gospel of Thomas reminds us that true salvation comes from an inner awakening, from the knowledge that already resides within us and only needs to be brought to light for us to be transformed. It is an invitation to a spiritual journey that, instead of seeking something outside of us, calls us to explore the vastness of our own being and understand the true nature of the kingdom of heaven that, according to Christ, is already within us. In the Book of Enoch, we find the story of the Watchers, angels who descended to earth and taught humans forbidden secrets, corrupting creation. In Enoch 10:12, God decrees, "Bind them for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth until the day of their judgment." These fallen beings were responsible for spreading knowledge that humanity was not meant to possess, leading them down a path of perdition. The Watchers were originally sent by God to observe and guide humanity. However, when they came too close to mankind, they transgressed divine orders. According to the text, these fallen angels taught humans secrets beyond their reach, cosmic knowledge such as astrology, metallurgy, witchcraft, and even the secrets of healing. While these teachings were considered powerful revelations by many, they came with a price. What seemed like a gift of wisdom turned into a curse, as it brought corruption, violence, and spiritual decay to humanity. The knowledge shared by the Watchers did not bring true enlightenment, but instead awakened desires and abilities that, without divine guidance, became dangerous and destructive. In Enoch 10:12, God declares, "Bind them for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth until the day of their great judgment." This decree is a punishment for the Watchers, who violated celestial order and corrupted creation. God orders that these fallen angels be imprisoned until the day of great judgment, a time of retribution and divine justice. The reference to the valleys of the earth is a place of spiritual imprisonment, symbolizing the isolation and separation of the Watchers from their original state of purity and grace. This punishment reflects the gravity of the Watchers' transgression and the impact of their teachings on humanity. The 70 generations is significant, representing a long period of waiting until the final judgment occurs, a time that is both a punishment and a time for reflection and preparation for the end times. These fallen angels, by passing on forbidden knowledge, were responsible for disseminating skills and practices that, while initially powerful, corrupted humanity and led them away from their true connection to God. The Book of Enoch describes how humans began using this knowledge for selfish and destructive purposes, creating conflicts, sorceries, and even ritual sacrifices. The corruption that spread across the earth was so profound that God, in his justice, decided to intervene directly by sending the Watchers to eternal imprisonment as a form of purification for the world from the destruction they had caused. The story of the Watchers is a cautionary tale about the dangers of knowledge that is not guided by divine wisdom. Knowledge in and of itself is neither good nor evil. It is the use we make of it that determines its impact. When knowledge is acquired without a connection to the divine, without guidance from a higher purpose, it can become a destructive force. However, the punishment of the Watchers also symbolizes hope for a return to divine order and the restoration of creation. By decreeing judgment, God reminds us that while corruption may have overtaken humanity, divine justice and wisdom will ultimately prevail. The story of the Watchers is not merely an ancient narrative about the transgression of angels, but also a profound reflection on the dangers of knowledge without consciousness. It invites us to question how far we are willing to seek answers without considering the spiritual and moral implications of our actions. The Book of Enoch, with its cosmic vision and hidden revelations, challenges us to reflect on the power of knowledge and the necessity of discernment when seeking the truth. But where does Jesus fit into this story? If we analyze the words of Thomas and the concept of enlightenment, we can perceive a fascinating parallel with the fall of the angels. Both texts, the Gospel of Thomas and the Book of Enoch, speak of deep knowledge that, when misused, can either liberate or destroy. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus teaches that true salvation lies in inner illumination, in discovering the light that resides within each of us. This light is not something external or reserved for a select group, but something that must be awakened from within, a knowledge that transcends the limitations of the material world and leads to the true understanding of the kingdom of heaven. Jesus does not offer us a path to masteries of the cosmos or nature, but invites us to a journey of self-discovery and spiritual transformation, where the goal is not to acquire power or control over hidden forces, but to attain inner purity and unity with the divine. On the other hand, the Book of Enoch tells the story of the Watchers, angels who descended to earth and brought with them forbidden knowledge. This knowledge, which opened the gates to hidden and mysterious power, resulted in the corruption of humanity. The wisdom the Watchers offered, though powerful, did not bring illumination, but instead brought disorder, violence, and spiritual degradation. By teaching humans secrets such as astrology, sorcery, and other occult arts, the Watchers were offering something that, although potent, was not aligned with divine wisdom, and thus led to destruction. The knowledge they brought to Earth, while initially fascinating, became a force that corrupted because it was not received with the necessary discernment. The story of the Watchers shows how the pursuit of power through knowledge without spiritual or moral grounding can have devastating consequences for humanity. By comparing these two narratives, we see a profound contrast between the knowledge of the Watchers and the enlightenment taught by Jesus. The Watchers represent a pursuit of forbidden knowledge, a wisdom that, when passed on without proper discernment, becomes a trap. Jesus, on the other hand, teaches that true salvation does not come from mastering the occult, but from discovering the inner light and purity that already reside within each of us. He invites us to look inward, to recognize the divine presence that is already within us, rather than seeking answers outside, in the shadows of the unknown. In this sense, Thomas's teaching about the inner light can be seen as a warning against the temptation to seek wisdom through means that are not aligned with the divine, such as the forbidden knowledge offered by the Watchers. The wisdom of the Watchers brought ruin to the world, not because it was inherently bad, but because it was acquired recklessly and without the spiritual alignment necessary to use it properly. Jesus' wisdom and his message of inner enlightenment points to a deeper and truer understanding of what the kingdom of heaven is, a kingdom that is not in distant places, but in our hearts. He teaches us that true redemption and enlightenment come from awakening to the inner truth, abandoning the illusions of the external world, and recognizing that, in essence, we already possess everything we need to connect with the divine. Therefore, the connection between the two texts seems to suggest that while knowledge is a powerful tool, its misuse can lead us astray. The warning is clear. The reckless search for wisdom, especially that which is forbidden or secret, can be dangerous because it can divert us from the true spiritual path. Instead of seeking hidden knowledge, Jesus invites us to seek the truth that already resides within us, the inner light that illuminates our souls and connects us with the divine essence. This inner revelation, unlike the knowledge of the Watchers, does not destroy us, but transforms and elevates us, leading us to true salvation. The implicit warning here is that the pursuit of the forbidden, of knowledge that is beyond human comprehension without proper spiritual preparation, can be a pursuit that leads us into darkness rather than light. The Book of Enoch also speaks of the final judgment, a cataclysmic event in which humanity and celestial beings will face retribution for their actions. This judgment is not only a retribution for transgressions committed, but also a moment of restoration for creation, when divine order will be restored and the forces of evil will be defeated. The final judgment in the Book of Enoch is a divine act of purification, where those who have strayed from the truth and justice face the consequences of their deeds, while the faithful remnant is redeemed and restored. This vision of a global judgment and universal purification resonates with many apocalyptic traditions, where the end times are not just the end of an era, but the beginning of a new cycle, in which divine order and justice will finally prevail. Interestingly, Jesus in Matthew 24:37 makes an allusion to this apocalyptic concept, comparing the final days to the days of Noah, a time marked by widespread corruption and violence. He says, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man." In the days of Noah, humanity was immersed in depravity, and corruption reached a point of no return. The book of Genesis tells us that the sons of God, the Nephilim, the children of the fallen angels, walked on earth and took human women as wives, resulting in a race of giants who dominated the earth. These beings, known as the Nephilim, were a direct consequence of the fall of the Watchers, whose teachings and transgressive acts destabilized creation. The presence of the Nephilim on earth was not just a physical aberration, but also a symbol of how forbidden knowledge and actions led to the spiritual and moral imbalance of humanity. The comparison that Jesus makes between the days of Noah and the final times suggests that before the end of the world, something similar to the corruption that occurred before the flood will happen again. Jesus seems to indicate that, just as in the days of Noah, humanity will stray from the divine path and turn to practices and teachings that distort the original order of creation. This allusion also brings to light the concept that, just as Noah was chosen by God to be a remnant of righteousness, in the end times, there will be a group that will be preserved and redeemed while the wicked face judgment. Furthermore, the fact that Jesus references the Nephilim and their relation to the fallen angels is a way of reminding us of the dangers of spiritual transgression, of knowledge that goes beyond the limits set by God. The final judgment, as described both in the Book of Enoch and by Jesus, will be a moment of restoration and justice, but also of separation. Those who sought divine truth will be separated from those who followed deviating paths. The story of the Watchers and their descendants, the Nephilim, serves as a warning about the dangers of seeking wisdom and power outside of God's will. Just as the fallen angels brought corruption to earth, Jesus warns that before his coming, humanity will again be exposed to the temptation of straying from the path of divine justice. Thus, Jesus' allusion to the days of Noah and the connection with the Nephilim calls us to reflect on the historical cycles that repeat themselves. Humanity, in its relentless pursuit of knowledge and power, often distances itself from divine wisdom and falls into the same traps that led to the fall of the angels and the corruption of creation. The final judgment, therefore, is seen not only as a future event, but as a reflection of the spiritual choices we make today. The restoration of creation and final purification are directly linked to our ability to seek divine truth, to understand that true salvation does not come from hidden power or forbidden knowledge, but from connection with the divine and the pursuit of inner purity and justice. In this way, the repetition of past mistakes, which Jesus points out in his comparison to the days of Noah, serves as a warning for us to avoid spiritual corruption and to walk towards true illumination and redemption before judgment comes. The most unsettling realization is that, just as the fallen angels were judged for their rebellion against divine order, humanity too will be tested by the kind of knowledge it seeks. In John 8:32, Jesus declares, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." However, the crucial question arises: which truth? Is it the truth that brings us closer to God and leads us to salvation? Or is it the truth that, like the knowledge offered by the Watchers, leads us into error and separation from the divine? This distinction is fundamental because not all knowledge is liberating. Some forms of knowledge, if not aligned with divine wisdom, can lead us further away from our spiritual purpose. The story of the Watchers in the Book of Enoch exemplifies how knowledge, when acquired imprudently or disobediently, not only corrupts, but also places us in direct opposition to God's intended order. If we reflect on the Gospel of Thomas, which teaches that self-knowledge is the path to enlightenment, and compare it with the concept of judgment in the Book of Enoch, a powerful connection emerges. Perhaps the true apocalyptic battle is not merely a cosmic event set to unfold at the end of time, but an internal spiritual war fought within each of us. The apocalypse, then, can be understood not as a mere external catastrophe, but as a process of personal transformation. The knowledge we seek, the way we choose to live our spirituality, and our moral choices are, in reality, what will determine our ultimate fate. The fall of the angels, as described in the Book of Enoch, was not just an act of cosmic rebellion, but a reflection of moral and spiritual choices. When the Watchers descended to earth and taught humanity forbidden knowledge, they were challenging divine law. This act was not only a transgression of celestial order, but also an attempt to shape humanity according to wisdom it was not yet prepared to comprehend. The promise of redemption, on the other hand, speaks of restoration, a return to pure truth, to the truth that liberates and reconciles us with God. This reconciliation does not depend on external achievements or mastery of hidden knowledge, but on a return to the simplicity of what was originally revealed: inner light, self-awareness, and divine truth. Thus, the fall of the angels and the promise of redemption are two sides of the same coin. Both events, the fall and the possibility of salvation, arise from the freedom of choice. The Watchers, in their pursuit of power and knowledge, fell from grace because they disregarded divine wisdom. Likewise, humanity, in its relentless search for answers and wisdom, will be tested in its ability to discern between knowledge that liberates and knowledge that corrupts. The real question, then, is, which path will we choose? The pursuit of truth must be rooted in self-knowledge and purity of intention, or else we risk being drawn into dangerous paths like those of the fallen angels, which lead us further from God. The dilemma of choosing between knowledge that brings us closer to God and knowledge that distances us is a central theme in both apocryphal scriptures and canonical gospels. The Gospel of Thomas teaches that inner light is what guides us to truth, while the Book of Enoch warns of the dangers of knowledge that, if misunderstood or misused, leads to destruction. The true apocalyptic battle, therefore, is the internal struggle for wisdom and discernment. It does not take place in physical wars or in some distant future, but within us as we seek to understand and live according to the truth that sets us free. The choices we make regarding the type of knowledge we pursue and how we apply it will determine not only our destiny, but also the collective future of humanity. The Gospel of Thomas and the Book of Enoch show us that the end times are not merely an external destruction, but an internal purification, a judgment that takes place within each of us. The forces at work in the spiritual realm are not just distant, supernatural entities, but reflections of the inner battles we face every day. Our fears, our ambitions, our hidden desires, all of these are part of the great test we undergo as we seek the truth. If the Watchers were destroyed by the arrogance of believing they could rewrite divine order, do we run the same risk when we challenge the limits of knowledge? Could our search for enlightenment actually be our own downfall? Jesus warns us in the Gospel of Thomas that if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. This teaching echoes as a warning to those who dare to face hidden truths. Knowledge is a gift, but it can also be a curse if not understood with humility. What separates us from the Watchers is not just our place within creation, but how we handle the truth. If we look at the mistakes of the past, we see that pride, arrogance, and the pursuit of power have led to the downfall of many. The same pattern repeats throughout history. Entire civilizations have been destroyed for failing to understand the limits of knowledge and spirituality. Are we walking the same path? Ancient scriptures teach us that true knowledge is not just what satisfies our curiosity, but what transforms our essence. In the Book of Enoch, the fallen angels taught humans forbidden secrets, from using metals to forge weapons to sorcery and the manipulation of nature. But this knowledge brought destruction, not progress. This leads us to a deep reflection. Is all knowledge valuable? Or are there truths that should not be revealed until we are prepared to understand them? The Gospel of Thomas teaches that the kingdom of heaven is within us, but it is up to each individual to decide how to access this truth. It is not an external place, not a reward to be earned. It is a state of consciousness, an awakening that requires detachment from the illusions of the world and a commitment to true wisdom. Facing our own demons is the hardest task. They are not just found in myths and sacred texts. They exist in our doubts, our weaknesses, and our daily choices. When we seek the truth, we encounter challenges that test our faith and understanding. And in those moments, we must ask ourselves, are we ready to see reality as it truly is? Or do we prefer to remain in the comfortable ignorance that shields us from the harshest truths? The Watchers fell because they desired what was not theirs, because they sought to rewrite humanity's destiny without the Creator's permission. But today, we have a choice. We can learn from their mistakes or repeat their failures. We can seek the light without falling into the arrogance that destroyed those who dared to challenge divine order. The truth lies in the shadows, waiting to be unveiled. But not everyone is ready to face it. The journey for knowledge is dangerous, filled with traps and illusions. The final question is not whether the truth exists, but whether we are prepared to receive it. In the end, only those who dare to question, who challenge their own beliefs, and who accept the responsibility of knowledge will find the answers that few are ready to hear. If you wish to continue this journey of mystery and revelation, subscribe to Portal of the Unknown. The search for knowledge can be dangerous, but for those who dare to face the unknown, the truth will be revealed, and they will never see the world the same way again.